Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. Before we get into this mock trade involving Ronny Mauricio and the Tigers, I need to let you know that the Baseball Head 3 is partially monetized. And what that means is you go in there and you watch a video and you'll see a little dollar sign inside of a heart. That means I can take super thanks. That means it's a good way to donate for the channel. I'll put the link in the description. I'd like to get some more subscribers in there, get to another 500, get completely monetized. We're almost there with hours, and thank you. Also, so I need you to follow me on Facebook. We're getting there. It's slow. We're getting it. But anyway, let's get into this mock trade. It's not my idea. I've been putting these mock trades. They've been doing well. I keep saying they're not my ideas. This is from SI.com. Fantasy Sports. MLB mock trade. Mets send Ronny Mauricio to the Tigers. Now, as you know, the Mets played on Monday in Dunedin, and they played the Blue Jays. They beat them. They pitched really well. And it's funny because I was listening to them on the radio, dealing with all this snow here, boy. We got slammed here in New York. A blizzard. In this MLB mock trade, the Detroit Tigers acquired Ronny Mauricio from the New York Mets in a 1-for-1 swap. Now, there does seem to be interest on some of the Met players because the Mets have a ton of middle infielders and a ton of infielders, and they're not all going to play. And Ronny Mauricio does not have any more options, so he could get moved. Ronny Mauricio has quickly emerged as one of the more intriguing young infielders in baseball, combining switch hitting power, speed, and defensive versatility at second and third base. While he's yet to put together a full breakout season at the major league level, his age, years of team control, and multi-positional flexibility make him a valuable asset for contending teams looking to add depth and upside to their lineup. But keep in mind, I don't believe he has any more options left. Okay? The reason the Mets called him up, which I thought was totally unfair, but he had no more options. They called him up late in the season last year, or in the second half last year, and didn't play him much. As you know, in 2023 into 24, he tore his knee up, had an ACL surgery, and it took him a long time to come back. And he really struggled at the major league level, to be honest with you. Very good defensive player. Very good defensively at third, very good defensively at second. But the bat's a little bit behind. He hits the ball hard, but anyway. Mauricio can immediately contribute as a middle-of-the-order bat or a key platoon piece, and his potential ceiling makes him especially attractive in trades where a team is willing to give up pitching or bullpen depth. With Mets infield currently crowded, Mauricio becomes a prime candidate for a trade, allowing him to reach a situation where he can play regularly and maximize his value. Now, here's what it would take for the Tigers to acquire him. And again, he has been predicted to be an average major league offensive player. Just so you know. That's what they've sort of mentioned him as. Meaning he's a guy that'll get a OPS plus of 100. Around that. And it's kind of where he's been. Partially because of his ability, or lack of ability of taking pitches. But also he's sort of a strange player because he has to be aggressive. Because that aggression is what makes him hit the ball so hard. So he kind of has a very strange balance as a player. But here's the mock trade. Ronny Mauricio will go to the Tigers, and he could play third base, like I said, second base. And a very good defensive player. And the Mets will acquire left-handed pitcher Tyler Holton. Don't know him from a hole in the wall. If Ronny Mauricio moves to the Tigers in 2026, his fantasy value jumps because he gains regular playing time that he lacks with the Mets. In 2025, Mauricio had 252 with 6 home runs, 3 stolen bases, and an OPS of 778 across 115 at-bats, showing flashes of power and speed despite limited opportunity. That don't sound right. Maybe I'm wrong, but that don't sound right with the numbers that he had. With the Tigers, he can play consistently at second or third, giving him the chance to convert that raw talent into counting stats. Fantasy owners can expect Mauricio to produce roughly 15 to 20 homers, 10 to 15 stolen bases, and solid run and RBI totals if he remains healthy and plays every day. Now, my own prediction. This is a kid that I think could hit 30 home runs. But because of the inconsistency with the bat, he would be the kind of guy that would have a low RBI total. Because he would be a guy that, certain players, the baseball kind of finds you, I think he'd find himself in a lot of positions where he would be with men on base and he'd strike out, or he would get ground ball or pop the ball up. But he's the kind of guy that would hit a lot of home runs and not driving a lot of runs. That's the one thing about him. And the 10 to 15 stolen bases, he did not steal a lot last year, and I would think that the leg is much better than it was last year. His multi-position eligibility and youth make him particularly appealing in dynasty formats, while in red draft leagues, he becomes a high upside contributor rather than a bench stash. Now, I don't know anything about fantasy baseball, so if you're watching this and you understand what these references are, God bless you. The trade unlocks Mauricio's potential, transforming him from a block prospect into a fantasy asset of multi-category value. Now, he's a guy that can get a lot of extra base hits. He's sort of the opposite of Luis Angel Acuna. I know Acuna hit a double in spring training on Monday. I hit a double, but to be honest with you, he doesn't have any power, and he just has no extra base power. Mauricio has extra base power. So this is a kid that if he gets 550 at-bats, he'll get about 60 extra base hits. The RBI total is the thing that would be low. If Tyler Holton joins the Mets in 2026, his fantasy contributions primarily in ratio categories rather than counting stats. In 2025, he posted 3.66 ERA, 1.04 WHIP, and struck out 64 batters over roughly 78 and a third innings. I guess that's what it says. Serving as a middle to late inning reliever with occasional holds but no saves. Moving to a contending Mets bullpen, well, he was on a contender last year. We talked about it. Holton becomes a reliable left-handed, multi-inning arm who stabilizes ERA and WHIP. I mean, the Tigers are going to be good this year with the pitching staff they have, providing consistent late-inning performance in high-leverage situations. He'd be the third guy in the Mets bullpen as a lefty. He boosts team pitching stats, making him valuable in holds leagues, points leagues that reward innings pitched or ratios in deeper red draft formats. For fantasy owners, Holton offers immediate reliability, multi-inning utility, improving the pitching category of a roster without requiring elite strikeout totals or closing duties. The Tigers make this trade because they are in a position where offensive upside outweighs bullpen surplus. Detroit's roster features a bullpen of multi-left-handed or multi-inning arms, making Holton somewhat expendable, especially if they have depth behind him. The Tigers are going to be good this year. They're going to win that division. Mauricio, in contrast, offers a young, cost-controlled, switch-hitting infielder who can play multiple positions, giving the Tigers flexibility in both the short and long term. With Mauricio's power potential and years of control remaining, the Tigers see an opportunity to acquire a potential middle-of-the-order bat without giving up a star player, addressing a positional need while adding youth to their core. In addition, Mauricio's ability to play both second and third fits the Tigers' roster construction goals. The Tigers can slot him in the infield immediately, allowing him to rest to rotate other players and potentially upgrade their lineup production. Essentially, they are converting a bullpen asset they have in surplus into an everyday player who can grow with the team and contribute high-leverage offensive situations. He's the kind of guy you ban on the low end of the lineup. Now, the Mets could use another lefty. It's not really a priority, to be honest with you, because they have Brooks Raley there who's healthy. And they have A.J. Minter, who's going to be, at some point, pitching for the Mets. And they have guys, in there, that are on the 40-man, or they have guys that are here, like Nate Lavender, for example, and plenty of lefties that could be a third lefty. But most teams don't carry a third lefty, so that's the one thing. But they're going to need a second lefty to start the season. Now, the thing about Mauricio, like I said, he's an average major league offensive player. That's what he's been predicted to be. What that means, like I said, I could see him being a 250 hitter with about 60 extra base hits, plenty of doubles, plenty of home runs. I'd say about 15 stolen bases at max, and probably 80 to 85 RBIs. Very similar offensive profile, but a little bit more average than, say, Luis Robert Jr. has had. Just to give you an example of the kind of player I'm talking about here. If you're a Tigers fan, that's my opinion from what I've seen, what I've read about him. We really haven't seen a lot of. He hits the ball a long way. He's got tremendous power. Like I said, I think he could hit 30 home runs, easy. But the RBI total is not going to be very high. So if you value RBIs, you're not going to get a lot out of it. The 30 RBIs can come out of like 80 RBIs. 30 home runs out of 80 RBIs. That's not very good. Or 75 RBIs. That's not ideal. That means a lot of solo home runs and struggling with men in scoring position. The Mets have a stocked, locked in infield right now. Even with the trades of Acuna and Jed Williams, they have an infield that has a lot of talent here. And they brought in a bunch of veteran players in here to settle this clubhouse down with Simeon and Bichette and with Jorge Polanco. So the Mets have sort of a grouping here. And then they have Beatty here, Marfientos here. So the Mets are kind of locked in, and they have other players that are middle infielders that are coming up through the system. So Mauricio, without options, he's going to get moved. Now, whether they have him with them in March, April, to begin the season, that's another question. I don't know. But this is not the worst idea in the world, to be honest with you. But you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, leave comments in the comments section. Thank you for watching. And, of course, follow me on Facebook. I'll put the link in the description of the video. And, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut 3, and I'll see you later.